Guys, time is the only resource that we can't get more of. And I want to commit as much time as possible to putting out content that helps more people just like you. The only way that I can do that is if you like, comment, and subscribe to this video. Please give me feedback and help me.
Right there.
Okay.
So everybody can see how beautiful you are. Okay?
I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
Okay, so the scenario is, and this is from the client, says, Chester and I have Blue Cross Blue Shield through Chester's employer. Chester has been diagnosed with cancer and is not certain that it is curable by a human on this earth. Not certain Chester will work much longer. He is 75, I am 73. He is presently in the hospital, and I'm wondering how we can transition to Medicare from Blue Cross Blue Shield, or is it best to stay with Blue Cross until we see where the diagnosis goes? Chester has never filed for Part B, that's a very important piece of information, and has had credible coverage since turning 65.
Yep.
He is on Part A and only. Will Medicare and Plan G cover MD Anderson? What about his prescription drugs? Do we have to get on Part B before signing up for Medigap Plan G? Should we keep Blue Cross Blue Shield and be double covered until we know for sure? What if he's in the hospital when his coverage changes? Okay, so there's like legitimate concerns all the way through, all out and through. The Part B portion, of course, is very important here. So I don't know what Chester's wife is named, so we're going to say her name is Sally. Okay, and I'm going to be Sally, and I'm going to sit just like this over your back like that. But you don't look at me.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Rob?
Yes, is this Sally?
Yes. Someone told me you could help me with this. This is just a chaotic situation.
Yes, ma'am.
And I need to know, what to do, what's best for us. We're on this Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, and it's good as far as the network and the coverage is good, but it's just expensive, and the deductibles are very high, and that's never been a problem before, but now it is.
Okay.
What do we do? What am I looking at here?
Sure. Well, Miss Sally, what I'd like to do is just get a little some questions and start here that way. That way I can make sure that I advise you correctly. Let me ask you this. Has your husband, Mr. Chester, filed for Part B?
He has not yet.
Okay.
But we can if we need to.
Sure, and I'm sure that we can help you with that as well if we need to do that to make the process a little bit easier for you. But it is crucial that we do go ahead and get the Part B activated. But before we do that, when are you looking to possibly transition over to Medicare? I know you said you're on the Blue Cross Blue Shield. Is there a specific date that you're wanting to transition over?
There's no set in stone date, but
Okay.
of course, as these treatments start, if there's less out of pocket, or if there's less, if I'm going to be out of pocket less on Medicare, I'd like to start it as soon as possible.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I would want to recommend is, since we're so late in the month this month, and with all this chaos that you have going on now, it may be better for us to shoot for a 5/1 effective date. So that way it gives us time to go ahead and get the Part B activated if this is the direction that you guys do want to go. It gives us plenty of time to apply for the Medicare supplement that we'll look at here shortly as well. So I just don't want you to feel rushed and feel overwhelmed and like we have to do it by 4/1, just so we can simply have enough time to get things done just in case we run into some challenges. Is that okay, Miss Sally?
That is.
Okay.
That's okay.
And so we're looking at filing for Part B. Let me ask you this. With your Blue Cross Blue Shield, I know you talked about it's been paying good. Do you have a max out of pocket with that?
Yes, it's $7,500
Okay,
per person.
And so one of the things that I do when I'm breaking from role playing, is I like to ask these questions so I know, because the biggest concern here is this going to pay better than the Blue Cross Blue Shield. Miss Sally, let me ask you this. What kind of deductible do you have with the Blue Cross Blue Shield?
We have a $1,500 deductible.
Okay, $1,500 deductible, about $7,000 max out of pocket. And then in regards to some of the drugs that he's having to take now, how well is your prescription drug plan with this current plan covering those drugs?
Right now he's not having to take any prescriptions, but we think that'll probably change soon. So we really haven't had to use the drug coverage much.
Okay, and so once we look at activating Part B, your Part A is your inpatient, your hospital benefit. Your Part B is going to be your medical benefit. It'll cover 80%. But then we have to look at a Medicare or a Medigap plan, is what we call it nowadays. And because your husband qualified for Medicare before January the 1st, 2020, he is still able to get the Plan F. Have you heard much about any of the plans or done any research at all when it comes to Medigap plans?
All of my friends have a Plan G, I think.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do then real quickly is tell you the difference between a Plan F and Plan G and then see which is the best route for you to go.
Okay.
Okay, so like I said, your Medicare Part A is your inpatient, your Medicare Part B is your outpatient. It's going to cover 80%, and then there's 20% that's left over. Now, I like to use really simple terms, Miss Sally, so I like to call the Plan F the Cadillac plan. And the Cadillac plan just simply pays 100% of the 20% that's left over. You have no copays, no deductibles. You simply pay your premium, and it will cover 100% of the 20%. Does that make sense so far, Miss Sally?
Yes, that's what I want.
Okay, that's what you want. Well, let's go ahead and look at and see what's the best company for you on that. But remember, we do got to get the Part B activated, and I can help you guys with that if needed to make it easier for you guys to make sure that we do this correctly and have less challenges. Okay? Now, let's look at the prescription drug plan. You said right now he's not taking any prescriptions, but possibly with this cancer diagnosis that we talked about, there could be some really expensive drugs in our future. Is that correct?
Could be. I hope not. But
Well, I do too. God forbid that happens. Well, with the Medicare drug plans, some of these cancer drugs can be as high as $15,000 to $20,000, and you could be responsible for up to 5% of that. Okay? So one of the things that we need to look at is, I can't obviously predict the future, but I do want to put you on the best drug plan that I feel is the best for you guys right now, because we don't know it's uncertain going forward what drugs he's going to take.
Okay.
So for me, I am probably going to lean towards a no deductible. I'm breaking from role playing again because I don't know. I may lean towards a no deductible drug plan. Okay, just depending, because he's not taking any drugs right now. What would you lean towards in this moment?
I mean, the catastrophic portion's similar on all of them,
Sure.
So I probably would still, if he's taking nothing at the moment, just go for the
WellCare?
I'd probably go for like a standard SilverScript Choice plan or something like that.
Okay.
Humana, Walmart, or like
Sure.
just I probably wouldn't go SilverScript Smart, but I would go one of those mid-range drug plans.
Okay. So, and I would too, either or. I mean, I would flip-flop 50-50. So, Miss Sally, one of the things that we can look at here, since we don't know what he's going to get put on and the price of the drugs, and I don't want to get lost in the weeds there, we can just look at a simple drug plan to put him on that will be comprehensive. By the way, which drugstore do you guys use in your area for prescriptions?
CVS.
Okay, so CVS, so we'll look at that. SilverScript is probably going to be our best bet, simply because CVS owns SilverScript and you can get a preferred discount on your drugs there. Let me just say this, just in case he was put on something really expensive, a high specialty tier drug. There are grants, there are programs that many of our clients that we've worked with, and by the way, Miss Sally, we've worked with over 15,000 clients. I only bring that up just because I want to let you know that we are experts in what we're talking about, and we want to make sure that you know that we're properly advising you to go in the right direction. So there are many of our clients that use grants, have specialty programs that they use to help shield themselves against the high cost of these drugs. But on a Medicare drug plan, many times these really expensive high-tier cancer drugs are not covered. So I do want to be honest about that in the beginning, because I want to make sure I set the right expectation for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
Okay. And so it looks like the best drug plan for you is going to be a SilverScript Choice plan. That plan is going to run you $24 and some change. So we're looking at the Plan F. You said you wanted to go that route, correct? It looks like Aetna is going to be the best possible plan for you there. It's going to be about $135, $140 a month for Mr. Chester, okay? And then it looks like the SilverScript Choice plan is going to be the best drug plan for him there. And then I'm noticing here too, one of the questions that you had sent one of the agents was, will Medicare and a Plan G cover MD Anderson? So Miss Sally, what I want to address just real quickly, whether you have a Plan F, a Plan G, or a Plan N, which you're choosing to go with the Plan F, anywhere Medicare is taken, this plan is taken, okay? And so you're in good shape with Medicare, and I would even venture to say, and very confident in saying this, that this plan is going to be a better situation for you going forward with the cancer, because you don't have to worry about getting referred to a specialist. You don't have to worry about certain networks, because everywhere Medicare is taken, this plan is taken. Does that make sense, Miss Sally?
Yes.
Okay.
Even MD Anderson?
Even MD Anderson. Yep, even MD Anderson is going to take it. Let me look at the other questions here. Okay. It says, what if he's in the hospital when his coverage changes? It's not going to matter.
Part B open enrollment.
Yeah.
Won't matter.
So it doesn't matter.
I think the biggest thing you haven't addressed yet is that she's also doing it. So
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Let me go back. So, Miss Sally, now that we've taken care of Mr. Chester, let's talk about you for a minute, okay? Because I know you're on the same credible coverage plan he is from work. Let me ask you this. Do you want to go ahead and just go with the Plan F for yourself since Mr. Chester got a Plan F?
is it going to be about the same price?
It's going to be just a little bit less, but it's going to be pretty much the same price, maybe a few dollars less.
Then I would like to do that too.
Okay, so I'm going to make a note here to put both of you on. I say Cadillac plan. That's what I say. It's just a very layman's term that I use, okay?
And there aren't any pre-existing condition issues on this or anything like that?
Miss Sally, that is a great question because of your open enrollment, and that's what we call it since he's activating the Part B, and I'm assuming you haven't activated your Part B either?
No, I have not.
Okay, so you're in what we call of open enrollment, which means basically, to put it in very layman's terms, Miss Sally, that Medicare is going to give you a free pass on your health. Okay, so no matter what type of medications you're taking, or your current health situation, or your past medical situation, we can get you on a guaranteed Medigap plan for you and for Mr. Chester. So would you say the Plan F is going to be the best fit for you as well?
I think so.
Okay.
Now, just so, is there any benefit to staying on the Blue Cross? Because by the time May 1st hits, I believe he might have already hit his maximum out of pocket on the plan. So is there any reason that I shouldn't just keep Blue Cross until later?
Well, you could do that if you wanted to. If he if he's going to make his meet his max out of pocket. I got my words twisted there.
So here's another piece of information. That would be like a legitimate objection, but you would say, like, she's already alluded to the fact that she's worried that he won't be able to work much longer. He's in the hospital.
Sure.
So at some point, she may just be delaying the inevitable that he has to get off the group coverage.
Yeah.
So that would be my counter to that.
Yeah. So what I would say, Miss Sally, is this. I mean, that is something very important to consider, but I want to remind you once again, with the Plan F, there are no deductibles, no max out of pockets, and so it simply covers 100% of the 20%. So at this point in time, especially if he's not going to go back to work, I would still advise you to go ahead and transition over to Medicare and to get a Medicare supplement Plan F. Now, let me ask you this too, Miss Sally. You said Mr. Chester wasn't taking any prescription drugs. Are you currently taking any prescription drugs?
No.
Okay, so it looks like we would do the same thing here for you as well, get you on the Silver Script Choice Plan. And the only reason we would look at that is that way if something did happen, God forbid, and the doctor did prescribe you something, that is a very comprehensive plan with a robust formulary that will allow you to, cover those drugs in the future if something did arise. Now, here's the good thing, Miss Sally. You can change that drug plan once a year. So if something did happen during the year and we need to put you on a different drug plan, we are very proactive in that during what we call our open enrollment season to make sure going into the following year that we've looked at that for you and to make sure that you and Mr. Chester are always on the best plans going forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up today and we get this taken care of for you, let me ask you this, Miss Sally. Are there any other questions or concerns or comments that you may have?
Is there any additional cancer coverage that I should have?
That is a great question. So I like to answer it this way. Your Medicare and Medicare supplement or Medigap policy are going to cover cancer. But let me ask you this first before I answer that, Miss Sally. Have you ever had any battles with cancer?
No.
Okay. And the reason I bring that up is because, once again, your Medicare and your Medigap plan is going to cover cancer. But one of the challenges that we see with a lot of our clients is when it comes to medications. You remember me talking about the medications earlier?
Yes.
Okay, so for you, since you haven't had any challenges with cancer, I would definitely recommend an additional cancer benefit for you that would pay out a lump sum. You're familiar with life insurance, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it pays out like a life insurance policy, a lump sum to help you just in case any miscellaneous or extra costs.
So I have to die for it to pay?
No, you don't have to die to pay. As soon as you get a diagnosis, this policy will pay out for you. And the great news about it, Miss Sally, is even if down the road, because more than likely the experts say, and I'm not trying to be negative, Miss Sally, I'm just being truthful this morning, experts do say that it could reoccur again. So it has what we call a reoccurrence benefit, which just simply means it pays out more than one time. So,
well, I wish I'd have talked to you when we were turning 65 and just got off and had this cancer policy for old Chester.
Well, and I like to say this, Miss Sally, I try not to live in the coulda, woulda, shouldas, and a lot of clients feel that way. But the good news is, going forward, I can get him on a better situation for his cancer diagnosis. And then also I can be very proactive with you going forward, that we can make sure that you are protected and shielded in the best way possible. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Okay, so let me get your date of birth here again, and let's go through here, and we're going to look at the best plans for you.
Okay. So, I could throw a whole bunch more objections in there, but Chris is the one that recommended us cover that situation, and judging by the way they reach out to you, they're probably going to trust your decision on there anyway, so I don't think you're going to get a lot of objections.
And I was purposely a little bit more wordy than I normally am, just because it was like 10 questions in one little, in the message that he sent us.
So that's one. So, a lot of times too, just to kind of go over something we covered in the past about the different styles of selling, Rob, let's talk about how Rob got into Medicare, and he said Part A is your hospital, Part B is your medical, and it covers 80%. And this is going to cover 100% of the 20%. So there's a couple of things there that some people will take issue with. First, he wanted to go over the fact that they are eligible for the Plan F. A lot of people say, "Oh, Plan F's not the greatest value." Well, there's an argument to be had there, but the issue for us is we're going to tell them what their options are, and if somebody says, "I want the Plan F," I'm not in the business of saying, "No, I'm going to talk you out of that."
Yeah, me too.
It's a good plan. Oh, the cost increases. Maybe they can afford the cost increases, and the convenience is pretty awesome for them. Also, Plan G's cost increases are not real pretty these days, so there's not as much argument there as there used to be. So I think it was a good thing. That's why I said, as Sally, that's what I want, because I wanted to see him. My advice always is to sell them what they want and then sell them what they need. So if somebody says that's what they want, then later on we could talk about Plan G and all this and that. But honestly, if you're going through cancer, to not ever get a bill, pretty nice. So if that's an option, that's something I would consider. Another thing, when he said 80-20, that's a simplification. Some would call it an oversimplification of Medicare. But you have to understand, Rob, if this is the straight line to the sale, Rob's line is like this.
That is a true statement.
Okay? Some people, so if you can't see this, Rob's line is really short. Rob is he's taking the shortest path to the sale. He's telling them what they need to know. Now, if somebody else who's really analytical gave them just tons and tons of information to get them to that point where they're ready to be closed, and they came to the same conclusion or very similar conclusion, is the client any better off? No. Okay. So, now if, somebody gave them tons and tons and tons of information, and they needed that, that's great. Some clients need that. We talked about it the other day. We tend to sell how we buy. So if you need a lot of information, you end up including a lot of information. Rob doesn't include a lot of information because Rob doesn't buy with a lot of information. He just wants to know, like, Plan F pays everything, costs this much, great. Rob would buy a Plan F, guaranteed. So that's the way people, do things. So there's not, a lot of people think that there is this platitude or this one plan that's the best. You have to buy this. But you have to understand your customers are all different, and their needs are different, and the way they think is different. And you get some people that, even when you get into Medicare Advantage versus a Plan N or Plan G or Plan F, I might sit here and be like, okay, Plan G or Plan N, in the long run, it's just a really safe way to go. You can go to any doctor you want to. Everything's paid for. You'd be better off just paying the premium and forgetting about it. But that person may be a buyer that's going to see the Medicare Advantage plan and want a Medicare Advantage plan. So I need to kind of realize that in the conversation, if that is taking that route, and offer that to them as well. There's also the reverse is true. Some people think, oh, I'm selling Medicare Advantage plans. Oh, you're really poor. You should have a Medicare Advantage plan. Well, that's stupid, because some people's budget is different. Like, some people will say, I've got my house paid off. I'm drawing $1,200 a month. But my health care is the most important thing to me, and I'd rather pay, $150, $200, $250 a month for a Medicare supplement and not have to worry about it. It's different for different people. A lot of times when we mail low income subsidy, and we have the intention of finding people that are dual eligible or LIS eligible so they can change an Advantage plan, you still might run into people with med subs. Don't let that surprise you, because especially in this area, people can live on a very low income, especially when they've paid their house off and that kind of stuff, and they still might be a good candidate to keep on a med sub and just try to get their rate down for them. So anyway, in a lot of areas, not just this area. I mean, most of the country is rural. The majority of it land-wise. So, okay. Do we have another
additional question real quick?
Okay.
We didn't cover it, and there again, because obviously that appointment could have been 45 minutes, right? But he said, would his Blue Cross Blue Shield cover those drugs? You say Medicare drug plan may not cover. So can you answer
I
that?
don't know. It depends on what he takes.
Yeah.
That's impossible to, like you say, he coming in, he's not taking any drugs. Now, if he's taking Revlimid, and I know he's taking Revlimid, and I look it up and find out Blue Cross is going to cover it 100% now that his deductible's met, maybe he'd be better off keeping Blue Cross as long as he can, activating the Part B later on.